Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Luening, Horst Luening, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And in the last year, I already had a few of the Glendronach single malt whiskies, and today I collected quite a lot of bottles of Glendronach to place them here on my cask and give you an introduction to this, well, extraordinary good distillery, which is situated in the east of the Scottish Highlands, not far away from the town of Aberdeen. There was an old 12-year-old bottle on the market, and that one, well, contained a funny tale about the founder of the distillery. Glendronach was founded in 1826, 2 years after the new law where you were able to legalize your Highland distillery. And this founder was James Allardyce, and he was a colorful person, how it's written today on those bottles. But on this old bottle, there was a small tale that Mr. Allardyce loved to go to the red light district in Aberdeen. And in this red light district, he met two ladies, and they asked him to buy them a drink. Well, that's the second task of those ladies, to earn more money by selling drinks for the proprietor. But he said, well, I don't want to buy you drinks, but I offer you a personal drink. And he offered them their Glendronach whiskey, his Glendronach whiskey. And this whiskey, so the tale was so extraordinarily good that the news about this whiskey spread among all the bars in the red light district. And very soon he delivered his whiskey directly into the bars of Aberdeen. Today, well, those stories are not that popular any longer, so they tell he was a colorful character. That's all. In 1920, the distillery was sold to Charles Grant. I don't know if he is a relative to all of those Grants in the whiskey industry. Might be. And 1960, this distillery was sold to William Teachers. William Teachers and Son. They produced the famous Teachers whiskey. And this was then acquired by Allied Domecq, which itself was a conglomerate of Allied distillers and Domecq Bodega, Spain. And they were quite good in selling their whiskey, so they increased the number of stills from 2 to 4. And today, in 1966, and today we see a big warehouse with huge windows, not in the style of the 70s, where you see a lot of distilleries in Scotland, but in the style of the 60s. So there's more bricks, less steel, less concrete, more bricks. And Glendronach was fired by coal. So I have an old picture where you see the coal lying around, which was used for direct firing of the pastilles. The distillery was then, in between 1976, there was the opening of a visitor center, which I'm afraid I wasn't able to visit. Later on, I was there in 1995. And that was 1 year before the closing of the distillery. And there I was able to take one of the most beautiful pictures of Scottish distilleries I took in my life. I place it here. It was a working malting floor, and it was perfectly made, and the windows were open for having the air circulating. and the sun was shining into the malting floor. A wonderful picture, a wonderful place to stay. I love it. 1996, the distillery was closed, and 2002, the distillery owners, Allied to Mac, decided to reopen the distillery, but they firstly had to change over from the coal firing to, I think, natural gas, because the European community issued new limitations on dust, and this was not feasible or not achievable by coal firing, so they switched over to natural gas. There should be no difference. Less of the mesh or of the wort, of the wash in the wash still should be burnt onto the walls. 2005, Allied to Mac was taken over by Pernod Ricard, and with this taking over, Pernod Ricard migrated to the second biggest spirits producing company in the world, or whiskey, no, spirits, I think, no. But they had to de-invest a few of those distilleries because of the watchdogs looking after them. But Glendronach went to Pernod Ricard. And Pernod Ricard sold the 12-year-old I mentioned before into the supermarkets, and they did not issue an 18-year-old as it was on the market before the closing. So the whiskey did not prosper. It did not run smooth. And in 2008, they sold the distillery to a South African company called Intratrading. It's a beer corporation. And in the meantime, this company, Intratrading, bought other distilleries as well, like Ben Riach and the Glenglassaugh distillery. So this is a small conglomerate of wonderful, extraordinary, good distilleries. And the corporation in the back from South Africa, they just invest money and want to see the profit. Yeah, the company is run by locals, by knowledgeable people in the industry, in the branch, workers. 2009, they issued the new range of 15 and 18-year-old called Revival, because they revive the new spirit, and the 18-year-old called Allardyce, an homage to the founder of the company. And later on, they opened a new visitor center, and I'm afraid I haven't been there lately, so I can't tell you about this visitor center. There is a small assortment of miniatures on the market, a 12-year-old, a 15 and a 18-year-old. The 12-year-old, I'm afraid, I have no bottle here on the market. It has this reddish color. So the 15-year-old is, and this is, I think, a mixture of ex-bourbon cask and ex-sherry cask, Oloroso sherry casks. The 15-year-old is completely matured in Oloroso sherry casks. It's a very intense, impressive single malt whiskey. I will taste it shortly after this video. The 18-year-old I have already tasted here in front of the camera. This is a wonderful, smooth, old, elegant whiskey, and not that intense and not that strong as this one is. So it's quite smooth. The 21-year-old Parliament is named not after the Parliament in Westminster. No, there is a group of birds sitting in the trees around the distillery for centuries, and all their is like the talk of the members of parliament. And there, from those parliament, the whiskey got its name. It's 21 years old and incredibly full and smooth and mouth-watering. I had that whiskey already here on my cask for tasting. For this whiskey, no, I hadn't. No, I especially collected this miniature, so I do not have to open this really expensive bottle. It's, in the meantime, they started at 80 and now they are well above 100. So the amounts of whiskey in the distillery is limited, prices are going up. There had been a special bottling called the Platinum, 16 years old, not with 46% as the 21, 18, 15-year-old have, and the 12-year-old has only 43%, and this one should be unfiltered, so it's quite light, quite clear for an unchilled filtered whiskey, so the filtration might be not that strong as typically, but there might be some filtration. The Platinum, 16 years old, has 48%, 2 more, and it's really impressive. And the people ran for that whiskey, and it was shortly after appearance on the market, it was sold out, and they issued the first bottling for South Africa, but a lot of other countries received bottles, and then they had to, to continue with the bottling because the demand was that strong. So, and there were, I think, two batches of this wonderful 16-year-old. In the back, there's the 24-year-old Grandeur. I had tasted that already. That one also with 48% ABV, really one of the oldest casks which are available in bigger numbers at the distillery. Unfortunately, the first Grandeurs had 31 years of maturation, and in the meantime they went down to, I think there was a 26 in between, and now they're at 24. I'm quite sorry about that. There had been a 33-year-old on the market with only 40% ABV. That one was from the time, was bottled already before the closing of 2002, of 1996. So this was a very old one, and in the meantime a real collector's item. This one is above 350, and the 33-year-old is, well, over 500 going up. The 95 here is a special bottling, a small batch, like the 16-year-old Platinum, in cask strength, and there are several bottlings in cask strength from different casks. I tasted already the tawny port. There are more and several other bottlings with different casks. I can't remember all those, port and sauterne, and I can't remember everything. And there are always, every year, there are bottlings of really old casks from the 70s and from the 80s, but I'm afraid the number of bottles are very, very small and the prices are extremely high. But all those bottles find their buyers because this whiskey is so extraordinary good. The prices for the older whiskies is going up. The younger ones are still affordable, so up to 18 years old, still below 100, but the Platinum jumped over 100 in the last year. So if you're interested in Glendronach, you should buy soon. Prices won't reduce, no, not at all. Always a good buy because of this intense maturation in those sherry casks. Well, I have to taste the 12-year-old from the miniature, the 15-year-old, and the 21-year-old, and the rest I think I had already. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. There's more to come. Feel free to share this video with your friends and add your own comments about those bottles in our whiskey database.